You're listening to the Disruptive Franchise Podcast with Stacey Can, the podcast that celebrates innovation in franchising and peeks behind the curtain of failure, success, and the future of the franchise industry. Welcome everybody to this episode of the Disruptive Franchise Podcast. Today I've got a wonderful guest with me. I've got the lovely Kristina Jones from Diddi Dance. Kristina, hi.
Oh, you okay?
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
So I am a Diddy Dance franchisee up in North East Wales. I have been a teacher for 13 years and I've been a franchisee for almost 6.
Amazing. How are you finding being a franchisee?
I love it. I sort of fell in love with Diddy Dance the second I met it. The second I walked into that audition session, I was like, I love this. I love the whole thing about it. Never thought that I would be a franchisee because everybody owned all the area that I lived in. And just as people grew and their families grew, it came up for sale. I was like, super excited. So I couldn't get that business plan in fast enough.
Amazing. I love it. So you had to do it. Tell us about what it was like, actually, the audition bit, because I didn't know that you do that.
Well, it's more, I think there's a gut feeling. I think with anything, you have that gut feeling. Both as me now as a franchisee, I get a gut feeling about people, but also yourself. If you are not made for that environment, it's a bit of a sink or swim. You either get it or you don't. And if you can't switch on like that CBBS character, then it's probably not going to be a great experience for you as a person because you're going to have to sort of like bring that out of yourself. And if it's not natural, it's just not natural. So I remember getting a message on Facebook from somebody to say, oh, Diddy Dance are looking for maternity cover in Chester. And I was like, oh, perfect. I taught every evening, but did nothing in the day pretty much. So I just remember going to this class and this lady being like 5-6 months pregnant and said, just sit there and watch. And that was really hard because I just wanted So, and then, yeah, that was it. She went downstairs and she was like, you couldn't keep yourself still, could you? I was like, nope, I really loved it. I wanted to join in. And that was that. And literally, yeah, like so long ago now. Crazy.
Love it. I love the origin. That's the seed, isn't it? That's where it all begins. It's wonderful. So back in 2023, we both met for the first time at the Disruptive Franchise Awards, didn't we? It was wonderful. And so the listeners won't know this, but we were both up against each other and we were both finalists for Disruptive Franchisee of the Year. Tell us why you entered.
2023 was a big year for me. I had a baby in 2020. So I'd literally just bought my franchise as I found out I was pregnant. And then 2020 happened and 2021 where we're sort of all still stepping out. So 2022 was the first year that I could sort of start get things going again. So by the time 2023 rolled around, I'd found that I'd massively had to push in all directions. I was able to open new nurseries, get teachers and really push my boundaries for my franchise from what I'd bought it from. And I remember it popping up. Our franchise had shared it and said, look, these are going on. They're brand new. We'd love to, see all of you in it. And little did I know, I was like, oh, yeah, that looks good. I like the idea of being a bit disruptive and a bit, out there. So I put it in and I just thought I've done really well this year. I've gone from pretty much nothing of lockdown to having to build that whole business right back up again. Because, with lockdown, contracts that you had before that I'd bought were gone because the nurseries had closed or they didn't do that anymore. Customers, their kids were now 2 years older. They'd gone to school. So
it found a whole new customer base by the time
it's literally like starting from scratch. So I felt like I'd done a lot that year to push it. And I think having my own little one at that age, you start to go, actually, there's more than this. It's more than just a class. It's more than, that parent coming along for 45 minutes a week. Actually, this will be really nice in this area and this area. And So I'd opened up a few sort of like family sessions, intergenerational sessions, not to make profit, but just to sort of be nice and get the community back together. So yeah, I just entered thinking more of my franchise would, thinking I wouldn't be on my own, and then completely like dumbstruck when I got that email to say I was a finalist. I couldn't believe it.
Amazing. Was it such a feeling of like, because I'd also entered that year, obviously, and like completely, I'd had a terrible year, been really ill, and I just remember like I got my entry in with about 30 minutes to spare before the deadline. I didn't really think anything of it again, and I just got this email. So yeah, that feeling was like, ooh, this is fun.
Yeah. It is almost just getting the email itself as a pat on the back of like, this proves that you are doing a really good job. So that was really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And the awards, I remember that year was super hot. I don't know if you remember, but it was a boiling hot day and we were in this room, so it was really sweaty. And when they got to our category for Disruptive Franchise, it's one of like the last categories of that we had to wait all day, hadn't we? And sat on the table with you. Like, obviously, we're both like going for the same award. We'd had a chat first time that we'd met. But what I remember the most fondly of all of it actually was how supportive we both were of each other, because I think it was us and there was one other. It was a travel franchise, and I don't think they had attended. But I think in any like in most industries, to be up against someone as a like a rival for a like, finalist. Like I've been at other award ceremonies and people won't talk to you. Like, okay. So it was really nice actually to like have that anticipation, but have actually just like made a friend, like, and kind of just enjoyed the day. And it was really cheesy. How did you feel sat next to me, knowing that we were up against each other? Do you remember?
I, in that, because I'd driven down to Oxford the night before and had a really stressy morning. So when I walked in, I think you actually got your like name badge just before me, and you turned around, and you went hello, and I was like hi. Completely hadn't put two and two together yet, and then I saw you on the table and went, oh hi, and I just remember thinking, oh, she probably thinks I'm such a cow.
I don't even remember that. I just remember the high bit.
It was like I just got there and I was all like, oh, oh. And I just don't think I'd see in faces. And then when we sat on the table together, our franchisors knew each other and had introduced us again. But it was really nice and friendly. And like I say, I think getting that email just to say I was a finalist, I was completely like, what? Oh my gosh. Um, so I just thought of the whole day as being a really nice celebration.
Yeah.
Um, And it was nice also just to sort of be one-on-one with my franchisor for a little bit and getting that sort of celebration from them as well, just being there. So I
Part.
think it was like such a nice atmosphere. Everyone was really lovely, and I don't remember feeling anyone like being competitive until it was like the Lego challenge or something like that, where it was all the tables against each other. But even then, it was like team building with those that were on your table. It was just, yeah, it was such a nice, really nice day.
Yeah,
Really.
completely agree with you. I've got a picture of you and me. I think they've done all the awards and everything, and it's like you and me stood like kind of like, ah. And it's one of my favorite bits actually, because at the end, when you just relax, you're like, okay, that's over. The adrenaline's done. Like, we're good. To like, yeah, just kind of go around and do like silly and fun pictures at the end was really, really nice. And of course, we did the TikTok for Anne-Marie as well. I remember being on stage. I like hiding at the back at that point because I was like, I don't know how up for this I am. So like hid at the back, kind of. I think we were doing like
Head, shoulders, knees, and
head,
toes.
shoulders, knees, and toes, wasn't it? Yeah, and I was like, so yeah, so many happy memories. I
Yeah, it was really lovely.
love it. I think it's a really good awards. Why is innovation important to you, Kristina?
So innovation, this really caught me when you gave me a heads up. I I just think that the world is constantly changing, learning. If you sit in your comfort zone, you can sort of get easily left behind. So I think it's really important that everyone sort of like pushes that learning and make sure that they're applying that learning to whatever they're doing. So if you know that there's been like for Diddy Dance especially, we're always learning new stuff about toddlers and babies and the way that they move and learn. So we're applying that into our sessions. so that then we can say, oh, these are all these amazing things that we know and we can share them with you. Whereas if you sort of didn't do that, people don't get that knowledge because they're not looking into how their baby is learning from reaching for a ball and all the things, that skills that it takes to lift that ball up and hold it. And so when you are being innovative, you're not just sharing that with your own self. You're then getting that opportunity to share that to other people. And you don't know who that will inspire. Do you know what I mean? That could then go off and trickle into the ether, something like that a parent goes, oh, I'm really interested in this. And they could go on and make another discovery, and then you're learning again. And I think that shared learning, shared sort of chance, really, of getting the world even better than they can.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think innovation is so important as well in when you're dealing with classes like yours in children's development, because there's new research all of the time. So without that innovation of whether it's like what you just said there about when you came out of COVID and you put on the multi-generational, cross-generational classes, like that's innovative because like you said, it wasn't necessarily to drive profit, but it was in order to bring that community together. And that innovation from what you've just described is about driving connection, isn't it? Knowledge and
Yeah,
connection.
yeah. And I think it is really important. It's so easy, especially as a small business, to see those profit margins and just be like, I need to make more money, or that's not making money, so let's just cut it. And you can get really clinical and business minded like that. But when you are working with people, I think you have to sort of step back a little bit and go, well, what's more important? Is it more important that I make 20 quid or I put a smile on five people's faces? And I think I think that's always where my balance has been.
Yeah, we get so caught, I think, as business owners of chasing the ROI. I've got to make a return. I've got to get a... And of course, that's why we're business owners, because we need to be making money. But like to put a smile on five people's faces actually will make you more money in the long run
Yeah.
because those five people will go and talk about how they feel. Like they won't remember the songs that they sang in the class, they won't remember everything, but they will remember how you made them feel. And that's what people then go on and talk about. And that's what drives your word of mouth and brings that money in anyway, right?
Yes, that big circle, isn't it? You can't put a price on that. Like that marketing is totally invaluable.
Yeah.
Um, much better than sort of like an advert in a paper or, on social media, because
Yeah.
that vibe from
It is
someone.
just that. Yeah, it's just that I was at an event a few months ago now, and the speaker was talking about Gen Z, and kind of their approach to, particularly within like the children's activity sector, of like how people are consuming. And we think that it's like Facebook ads and like Google searches and things like that, but actually, what's really happening, particularly in that generation that are kind of coming up as parents now, is that they are doing it all by word of mouth and what feels good and what's recommended. Even if it's not recommended by someone that they personally know, it carries so much more weight than seeing you on a Google search. And I think it's that how we then use innovation to drive that customer experience, isn't it? The feelings, the genuine connections, and that's how you win, I think, at the moment, for sure.
And it's tough out there at the moment. It is really tough. Um, but I think that is what that innovation is needed for. Do you know what I mean? To make sure that we're sort of like pushing forward, but in a nice way and not a business bulldoze.
Like the 80s with our suits. Come on, get out of the way. Totally, I totally agree. What advice would you give, Christina, for anyone who's like struggling a little bit, kind of wants to be a little bit more innovative? Like, have you got like a go-to like that you think about when you're trying to innovate, or does it just happen naturally? What's your approach?
I like to step back. Um, I think even amongst my other franchisees, when we're having a chat, they'll be like, "Oh, Christina's gone quiet," and it's always because I have to sort of step back and sort of take myself out of it, because when it's too personal, you can't see objectively.
Yeah.
You've got to do that balance of how much money does it make? I've got to make the money because that's what pays the bills. But at the same time, that whole thing about that connection, and you want to keep those customers happy, and that little balance has to sort of come into play. And you can't do it being in that moment. So not being scared to actually step back, take that breath, and just let it sit for a little while. You know, the best cup of tea is the one where the tea bag's left in a little bit longer. You know, just got to have a little bit of patience. And I think it's so easy to, it's probably easier to just push, push, push. But then you get into burnout, and actually you've probably now needed a bigger pause than you were going to take if you'd have just stepped back. But yeah, I think that's my advice, really.
Love it. Absolutely love it. You're so right. You can get too in the moment, can't you, with that tunnel vision? And then it's really hard, I think, to innovate, because we get stuck with, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do. And we stop questioning, oh yeah, why am I doing that? And you're dead right. Like that step back, actually, that bit of breathing space, so valuable. Love it. Absolutely love it. The key question, what would you do if you couldn't fail? What I love about this question is, because we're talking about innovation and we're like, okay, like take that step back, that's where the innovation comes from. But it kind of almost pushes the opposite way of like, okay, let's imagine that we can innovate anything in the world and we can do anything. Like there's a magic brush that's been waved and there's absolutely no chance of you failing. What's your go-to thing? What do you do?
This has had me absolutely floored this week. And I've had an extra 2 days to think about it. And I'm like, oh, what would I do? I came from a background of fundraising, like a charity dance company that used to get funding and would run sessions and performances and all of those sorts of opportunities throughout North Wales. And I think part of me is still very much attached to that. So if we're talking about Diddy Dance not being able to make Diddy Dance fail, I would love to sort of combine those two things and be able to offer Diddy Dance to those that just, you know, financially, it might not be something they can come to, or a nursery that, you know, their funding's not great, a school that just want a little bit of, you know, dance fun if they've not got a teacher in that loves it. That passion that we bring is just in itself such an amazing thing, but we can't get it to everybody. So if I knew that I couldn't fail, I would love to just sort of do a big Diddy Dance blanket across.
Love that.
Especially because obviously North East Wales, I don't know if anyone ever's been up this way, but we're a lot of villages.
Yeah.
A lot of villages, and then a couple of really big towns. And so all those villages always lose out because, you know, there might only be 3 toddlers in that village at one time. And the mum might work on a different day of the week, or they all go to nursery. So sometimes they're really hard to reach, you know, and access. And I just want to spread all my Diddy Dance love and be like, woohoo!
Come here, come out.
Yeah, like, come out, just rocked up in your village today. So if I knew it couldn't fail, I would love to just put Diddy Dance everywhere.
Love that. I love that idea of getting it into all those like hard to reach places, like a proper, I could like imagine you waving this like massive like big blanket over the whole of North Wales, or like rocking up in each village with like I've got like an ice cream van kind of, you know, like not like real, but like a like that kind of style of like
blue, green, pink.
Yeah, exactly, all in branded colours, playing whatever like your like absolute go-to is out of the like speaker thing, and getting all the kids to like come around you and just be dancing. What are your mascots called? You've got mascots, haven't you?
Got mascots. Davy, Danny, and Daisy. Living with me at the moment after festivals last weekend.
Brilliant. But yeah, then rocking out the back of the of like the ice cream van.
Oh yeah, love it.
Love it. Well, I hope you make that happen, Kristina, because I bet if anyone can, it's absolutely you.
Yeah. Watch your space, North Wales.
I feel a future Disruptive Franchise Awards application coming on.
How was you disruptive? I took an ice cream van and made it a diddy dance.
Dress some people up, put them out as my mascots, play some music,
Yeah.
got all the toddlers rocking. But why not?
Just do Snowdonia, it was fine.
Oh, Kristina, I've absolutely loved chatting to you. How can people get in touch with you? They're in North Wales. How do they find you?
So we are Facebook and Instagram at Diddy Dance NE Wales with a Diddy with an I, and then our diddydance.com website.
Amazing. We'll drop all the links in the show notes as well for anybody who wants to get in touch with you. Kristina, thank you so much for being my guest. I've loved chatting with you.
Very welcome. Thank you very much.
Before we finish up today, I'd love to just thank our podcast sponsors, Book When and Make Your Mark Podcast Agency, without whom this episode wouldn't have been possible. You can find more information on both amazing companies in the show notes. If you've enjoyed listening to today's episode, please also make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and I would absolutely love it if you left a review too. See you next time.